When grief feels overwhelming and the weight of the world presses too heavily on your heart, nature offers a refuge. Even if you can't get outside today, join me for today's nature inspired guided meditation for despair, grief, and heartache. Welcome. You are listening to Our Mindful Nature, a podcast helping healers and those searching for healing respond to burnout, overwhelm, and depression with nature-based meditations for better mental health. I'm your host and meditation teacher, Meryl Arnett. If you would like to access these meditations as standalone audio files for your daily use, please subscribe to my newsletter at merylarnett.com. It's free, and you get a new mini meditation each week. All right, y'all, grab your headphones, get a cup of tea, and find a comfy seat. In today's episode and guided meditation, inspired by the timeless words of Wendell Berry and Mary Oliver, we turn to the wild, to still water, soaring geese, and the quiet presence of the earth to hold our pain with tenderness. This is not about fixing, but about feeling, embodying, and reconnecting to the family of things. As always, this class is recorded from my live Monday night meditation so that you can feel the same energy that we would in a group together. Let's listen in. Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. I am glad to practice with you this evening. So we are journeying through a series that I'm at least informally titling Nurtured by Nature. And last week, we started the series by talking about meditating with feelings of anxiety or meditating with like the chaotic feeling of the world or the political climate that we find ourselves in this moment. And I want to dedicate today to talking about meditating with feelings of sadness or grief or heartache, maybe even just overwhelm, right? And these are really tricky feelings to meditate with, right? Really tricky. And there are these moments, at least for me, there are these moments where sadness is so big and so strong that it feels like it eradicates any other feeling there ever was or ever could be. Like sometimes I'm just in that moment where I think, I'm never going to feel anything but this. How could any other feeling even exist? And in these moments when a feeling is so big and all encompassing, moments when perhaps we're so brutally aware of our inability to control things, these are the trickiest moments to meditate. And I want to name right off the bat, meditation is not an end all be all panacea. It's not. It's an amazing tool. And I think it can work in a lot of cases, but not in 100% of cases. Okay. And the deciding factor, the line in the sand, if you will, is really what your personal window of tolerance is, right? Window of tolerance meaning this space where I am able to stay present to what I'm feeling and what's happening in the moment. And when I pass my window of tolerance, I can't stay present. I'm not in my body. I'm lost in a feeling. This is when I rage or I lose my temper or I lose my patience or I get trapped in a story from 20 years ago that isn't actually even happening right now. Then I'm out of my window of tolerance. And nobody knows your window of tolerance but you. Nobody. I can't see it. Your partner probably can't see it. You know in your body, and you decide. So if you sit down to meditate and you're like so unbearably uncomfortable that you are just being swallowed by the feeling, you're so lost in the story. You're just completely arguing with yourself and the imaginary people that are involved in the story. When that's happening, stop your meditation. Get up and do something different. Go for a walk, dance, draw, call somebody, call your therapist, call a friend, yell, like do something else to let that feeling move through you. You don't want to sit and bottle it up, and you definitely don't want to get lost inside a tornado of it. If the feeling is big and strong, but you can sit down and be relatively still and stay present to what's happening in your body without getting lost in a whole story about what it is and what it means and why it's happening, if we can stay present, this is the time to meditate. This is when the meditation practice will be so helpful to us. And it's important to remember that we're not meditating to feel better. I'm just going to say that again because it's so important. We're not meditating to feel better. You might. If you do, that's amazing. I'm so happy if that is the outcome of your practice, but it's not the purpose. It's not the goal. We meditate to hold our feelings with the most tenderness, the most care we can possibly offer ourselves. We're not even meditating to fix anything. We're not meditating to fix anything. We're meditating to feel, to embody, to awaken to and honor what is here in this moment for us. That's what we're doing in the practice. It's become really clear through psychological sciences that so much of our suffering has to do with a loss of connection, a loss of connection to ourselves, to each other, to the natural world, just to name a few. So much of our suffering is due to the loss of connection. And so, as I was thinking about what might we do in our practice to meet ourselves when we are feeling sad or we're grieving or struggling with heartache, I think one of the most beneficial things we can do is search for a sense of connection in the practice. Today, this morning, I sat outside on the back deck as I usually do to do my practice. And when I was done with the practice and I opened my eyes up, the first thing I saw was several red-winged blackbirds at our bird feeder, like clearly hanging at our house while they migrate. And could not have been happier to see them. Like, oh my God, they're here. Right. And I'm just marveling at that magical bit of beauty and that surprise visit during migration. And I'm sort of sitting with that and I hear geese flying overhead calling. They've been everywhere lately, clearly on their migratory journey as well. And as I was just feeling into like that bit of pleasure of like, here are these beings that have just stopped by to visit for a moment. They're not here all the time, right? Not in my yard. But they were here for the moment. And two poems immediately came to mind, both of which y'all know because you meditate with me and I cite them all the time, but I'm going to do it again tonight. because perhaps there is no better invitation for connection and for holding our sense of grief, sadness, disappointment, frustration, heartache with care. And so, our invitation tonight, I'm going to read these two poems, and then we're going to settle into our practice for the evening. And our invitation is like to imagine two hands, like cupped like a bowl, right? And I want you to imagine those two hands cupped like a bowl holding you, or holding everything that you think and feel right now. Not to fix it, not to change it, not to even improve it, but just to say, like, for this 1 minute, I got you. You can feel it, you can be with it, and we'll just let it be here with as much tenderness and kindness as we can. And then I'll just name before we start, as a reminder, nobody knows your window of tolerance but you. And so if you're like, oh yeah, I'm here for this, I can't wait, those little cupped hands are going to hold all my feelings. That sounds so fabulous. Here we go. And then you start to like, it starts to spill out of the hands. It's too much. It's too big. It's too raw. Put your hands on the ground. Open your eyes or shake your arms out a little bit. Do something to support that so that either you can stay in your window of tolerance or you get up and you come back to the practice another time after you've moved a bit. Yeah. So we're going to start with my two favorite poems in the whole wide world, which is a big statement to make because I love all the poems actually. Um, but we'll start with my favorite one for grief and despair, which is The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. And then we're going to move into Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. And then we'll practice. So, The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. And then Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of rain are moving across the landscape, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. And so we take a moment here just to settle into our place, to settle into the seat that you will take for meditation tonight. You can sit, you can lie, get all the things you need to be as comfortable as possible. And as you let your legs rest and your arms rest, you'll decide. Would you like to close your eyes? Or would you rather just take a soft gaze? Together as a group here, we'll take a deep breath in and we'll exhale out a sigh. And we'll just do that again. Inhaling deeply, exhaling out a sigh. And allowing your breath just to flow. And silently to yourself, you begin your practice by saying, "Now is my time to meditate. Now is my time to meditate." And as you say those words, perhaps you can feel or imagine yourself letting go of the day so far. And you feel or imagine yourself letting go of the day ahead of you and all that's left to be done. And bit by bit, breath by breath, you invite yourself to sit down or lie down a little bit more, dropping a little heavier into the supports beneath you. Perhaps imagining yourself landing right here in the center of the forest. Landing right here in the center of the family of things. And you let your breath roll through you with ease. And you imagine or feel a general sense of letting go in the body. Softening, particularly down in the belly. Softening through the center of the chest, imagining that the heart itself could just soften a little bit. Inviting the shoulders to melt away from the ears. Letting go along your jaw. The inside of the cheeks. Letting go of the skin around the eyes. And softening between the eyebrows. Every breath is an opportunity to soften just a tiny bit more. Maybe you feel or imagine that sense of wind just blowing away a bit of the tension. Allowing yourself to settle a little fuller, a little deeper inside you. Maybe you're lying where the wood drake rests, or the great heron feeds. Every breath you feel or imagine yourself lying with the peace of wild things. Slowly turning your attention towards your breath and simply feeling yourself draw air in and release air out. Allowing every breath to be a source of connection for you. The feelings that are here right now are welcome to be here. Amidst our connection to the wind, to the birds and the trees that they rest in. Every breath, a connection to yourself. And to every one of us who is practicing right now. We'll settle into a few minutes in silence here. Breathing, listening, and inviting yourself to connect amidst whatever feelings are here for you today. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, and fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty by the water. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Feel your breath here. Feel or sense your own connection to the natural world, to yourself, to each other. Taking time to let your breath deepen a bit more. You might wiggle into your fingers, your toes, just sensing those edges. Holding yourself with as much tenderness, as much care as possible. You let the shoulders roll back, crown of the head lift. And together we take a deep breath in and we release a sigh. Taking all the time you need to let go of your practice. And just slowly blink your eyes open once again. Thank you, guys. I hope after this class, you have a clear sense of when meditation can support your grief and when it's better to let go of the practice temporarily and shift to something more supportive. When you are in your window of tolerance, nature-inspired meditation can create a gentle space for healing without the pressure to change or fix anything. It can create a connection to nature, ourselves, and each other. And most importantly, it can serve as a reminder that we are not alone. Through words, through reflection, this practice affirms that sorrow is part of the human experience and that nature, like a steady companion, is always there to connect with us. Thanks for listening to Our Mindful Nature. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving me a review wherever you get your podcasts. It helps others to find the show. And let's face it, we could all use a few more meditators in our lives. Our Mindful Nature is recorded on Muskogee land and produced with the support of Brianna Nielsen. Deep gratitude is offered to acoustic ecologists Gordon Hempton and Nick McMahon for the use of their nature field recordings in many of these episodes. To join my live classes, ask questions, or learn about my teacher trainings, please visit merylarnett.com. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next week.